Howdy, Gateway students. Welcome back to our revival, our redo. Not sure what we're calling it yet. But we got a fun topic for you today. It's this idea of manifestation, which obviously has been a really big trend on social media, maybe even in some classrooms for you guys. And so we wanted to dig deeper on what does Jesus say about this? And is there a thin line between when it gets dangerous on which side of where we're placing our faith, basically. And so to help us debunk that a little bit, we've got a special guest here today, Matt McHugh.
Hello. Good to see y'all.
Yeah, so we're excited to have him here today to help us debunk this. So Matt, why don't you tell us about yourself, kind of what you do?
For sure. Yeah, one of the pastors at Gateway Church, North Campus. And excited to be here. Got 2 girls, just celebrated Father's Day yesterday. So Hannah, who's 5, Kayson's 2, and then married to Alyssa for 7 years, man. So happy to be here.
Congratulations, man. Yeah. All right. So we're going to hop right in.
Let's do it.
This first question I want to ask you is pretty simple. When you hear the word manifestation, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, we were just joking about it before jumping on the pod, but I've often used this phrase too, speak it into existence, right? You're kind of just in control of your own destiny.
Yeah.
But I think underneath that, it's just optimism. It's just maybe even like toxic positivity. It's just trying to control things in your own way. And we can get into it more, but I think that's kind of what comes up for me.
Yeah. Why do you think so many students or just young people in general, young adults, maybe even millennials too, are so drawn to this idea of that controlling your destiny, speaking things into existence and letting things come to you?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take long to look at social media or, kind of wherever you get your information to see kind of what's going on in the world. And it's kind of a form of control to say, okay, I need to keep myself safe in the midst of all the chaos going on around me. What can I control? And oftentimes we kind of cross a line to play the role of God versus trusting God. And so I think it's a very thin line and you can easily be swayed, but it can get dicey pretty quickly. Yeah.
So you say that manifestation, kind of that idea of this law of attraction, focuses more on self, right?
Yeah, right.
Whereas faith, Christianity, and believing in Jesus is we are placing our faith in God, not us.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what's it's maybe you have it written down in your notes, the Proverbs verse where it talks about, we can plan our steps, but God,
God ends up directing. I think that's out of Proverbs 16 that talks about that. Yeah, I think there's a difference between trying to have close fits and grip and say, I want God, you gotta be a genie for me versus like, hey, God, your will, your way, your time, and I'm just going to be open-handed. There's almost a humble posture versus kind of being obsessive that kind of, God, if this doesn't work out, like, man, kind of throwing your faith away. It almost seems like that's probably an intense version of it, but
like a just constant surrender,
right?
Every day for where you're going, what you want.
Sure.
I think there is a certain like a certain extent to. There is a truth to this idea of like, let's just talk psychologically here. Like the psychology behind it, I do think that, man, if you're focusing on something like, and that's like, I want to do this, I want to be that.
Right.
I think if you're intentional about that every day, you're going to naturally seek out ways to do that, to reach that goal. But I think part of this manifestation thing is like, I don't even have to do any work. Right. I'm just going to say, this is my dream that I have. I want to be a successful, musician. Right. And I'll release like a song here or there.
Sure.
And hey, I speak it into existence. The song's going to blow up.
Yeah.
And it's like this expectation of like, okay, I'm just I have this self-belief in myself.
Right.
And I'm just hoping that it kind of works out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like everyone telling you growing up, hey, you're really good at singing, but then you get on a singing competition or you actually go up to sing and you're like, they're not that good, right? It's just living in this like unrealistic reality. And I think both manifestation and your faith, they both start out with like a desired outcome or prayer, we could say. Both start with a desired outcome, but then how you get there is where it gets tricky, where manifestation again is saying like, I'm the creator, I'm the owner of my destiny, versus again trusting God and His timing and His way, to fulfill whatever his plans are for me. I also think with that, I've often heard like God answers our prayer requests kind of in three ways to kind of, focus maybe on some of the faith side of it too, is yes, no, or not yet. And that yes is really easy. It's like, great, perfect. I got, the job I was looking for, got into the college I wanted to go to, whatever it is. The no is really hard to swallow because then you're like, I don't know how to maybe wrestle through this, but I think that's where like the school of training of following Jesus really comes into play. Because then you really see like, is your faith shallow? Does it have substance? Is it shaky? And then the not yet too is this kind of delayed gratification. It's like, okay, maybe in the future, but maybe I need to work some things out with God. Maybe I need to process things in a different light, or maybe I just need to be patient. I think that's a problem too with millennials, and I think the younger generations is that we're often not patient. We want to microwave our faith versus letting things kind of simmer and really stay connected to God, because there's lessons he wants to teach us in this season that prepare us for the next. Yeah. But oftentimes we want to just, again, speak it into existence, and that has a lot of ramifications.
Yeah. That's good. So the role that I'm doing right now is, student resident here at Gateway, and I had applied for this position 2 years ago.
Okay.
And when I had applied for this 2 years ago, I had already been serving here at Gateway pretty, like in a lot of different areas, and really intentionally, and kind of just been like a high level kind of volunteer, I'd say. Yeah. Like I just felt like my hands were in everything, and I was really happy to do it.
Sure.
But when I applied for the position, I was like, I deserve this.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm already doing this. Like, just hire me and pay me.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And because I had that attitude, I did not get the position. Did not get
it. Yeah.
But about this time last year, there's like a 1 month period, maybe 2 month period where I was I needed a job or an opportunity to make money, whether it's like a project or something. Right. And so I was praying for that. Praying was my manifestation, which we can get into that too, of what that looks like on either side. But I was praying for that, and I lost my train of thought here.
There's a 1 to 2 month period, you said.
Yeah. Sorry. 1 to 2 month period.
Yeah.
And I was praying for this opportunity to make money, and I was there was like this weird feeling of like, I know that something is going to pop up. But I was in this really weird position because I was like, well, if I wanted to go get a job at Whataburger, I could probably go get a job at Whataburger or something, low level like that. But what I didn't want to do was go somewhere that God didn't want me to be, or like I wanted to follow him. I wanted him to lead me to whatever spot he wanted me to next. And I was like, well, I could go and find myself a path. I could go do that. Yeah. But I really wanted to trust and be obedient to God. And so for that 2 month period, I was waiting and still like serving and kind of being intentional and honestly opening my eyes to opportunity of like, and asking God like, hey, show me where you want me. And I got a call telling me to apply for this, and there was obedience there, but there wasn't a plan that I had specifically in a direction that I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I was waiting for God to show me that, whether that was like a not yet to go search for something else or wait for this opportunity to come up for you.
Yeah.
Like whatever. And so that was like me having to trust. But I think we all have dreams. There's somewhere that we want to go.
Sure.
Do you think what would you tell the students or young people that have these dreams but are kind of struggling and wrestling with, okay, this is where I want to go, but I feel like God's calling me somewhere else. How do I wrestle with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where you bring in, pastors, like Isaiah or your parents, just trusted voices, I think, in your life to really bounce those ideas off of. Obviously talking about it with God, whether that's journaling, whether that's just praying, going on a walk, however you kind of connect with God. But I think, asking other people like, hey, what are you sensing? Can you pray with me in this too, so that you're not just alone in it, to kind of make sense of what maybe God's speaking or saying? Because yes, it's great to have specific goals and outcomes. Like that's awesome. But I think, as we're talking about manifestation on here, the problem is when, you don't do any of the work. You just think you're automatically going to get it, or you're entitled, versus actually letting our faith lead the way. And so, yeah, I would say lean on those trusted voices because they have a lot more experience. They've gone through different jobs and they could really speak into, even from a faith standpoint, maybe what they sense God is up to or leading.
Yeah. Do you think it's like, do you think it's easy for us to idolize those specific goals that we want and be so kind of tunnel visioned on it that we lose sight of those kind of the directions that God want us to? And then if that is the case, like if we are tunnel visioned, how would you suggest we move away from
Step
that?
out of that.
Step out of that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, totally. With social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, kind of your advice when it comes to social media, everyone's got their heads down and they're missing out on maybe relationships to connect with, and different ways to kind of be present versus kind of doom scrolling or numbing out. Maybe you're escaping from a really hard situation, so you go to look on your phone and you start scrolling. So I think a challenge, especially this summer, right, for students, I would say to challenge yourself to kind of like we do with Lent, like give up social media for a bit in the summertime. Maybe that's with your small group, a group of friends, just trying it out for, maybe half a day to start, 24 hours, but then maybe seeing if you can build up to a couple days at a time. Yeah. And just seeing what God does with that. That could be really cool.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about social media on episode 3 or 4. So if you haven't watched that, students, go back and watch that because we dive deep into that. And nice. I think that's a great challenge, especially, it's summertime. All you guys are out of school. Yeah. Like, hopefully no more extracurriculars. Y'all are so crazy busy. It's insane. But yeah, like go enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah. Right.
Don't use the gamer. Go touch grass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like go outside. So yeah, but going back to the faith, like specific aspect between manifestation and, this idea of following self, believing in self rather than God, this is going to sound like a weird way to phrase it, but what's the Christian alternative to manifestation? What does that look like as a Christian? Yeah,
so as I was describing like manifestation and praying, like again, they both have a desired outcome, but the way you get there is so different. So the manifestation, like the Christian version of manifestation would be praying, which is simply, talking with God, is being able to share everything that's going on in your life. Because as we just celebrated yesterday, Father's Day, like God is a good and perfect father. Whether you had a great father growing up or you didn't, he wants to hear from you. And so that can take, again, the place of journaling. That could take the place of sermons on Wednesdays. That could take the place of your small group. Like there's all these different people that could kind of speak into your life that God is using in and through you. But really prayer can look like so many different forms. It could be a prayer walk. It could be simply just sitting in like silence and just maybe listening for what God's saying back. Oftentimes I think we like to just spew out a list of things we wish God would do versus listening to like maybe what God wants to say to me. Yeah. It'd be prayer.
Yeah. I think a challenge for you guys, for you students is, you said it spot on. Like instead of having this list of all these things that we want, all these things we want to manifest,
right.
Where do you want me? What do you want to show me?
Yeah.
And I think again, in the same way of this, like the psychology behind it is like, even with you talking with God about those things, you're almost automatically shifting your mind to be looking for those things.
Yes.
You're asking God, hey, what do you want from me? What do you want to show me?
Yeah.
And it's like, just naturally you're going, all right, I'm looking for these things.
Yeah.
I'm looking for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you kind of get these like positive dopamine hits of like, oh man, like I can trust you, or man, you really did use me to pray for that person or to help out a family member or a coworker if you have a summer job this summer, whatever it is. I think 2 thoughts that come to my mind too. Eugene Peterson, who wrote the Message version of the Bible, says this phrase of like a long obedience in the right direction. I think how you can tell if like you used the word obedient earlier, when it came to the internship, you feel like that was just the next right step. Dallas Willard, kind of famous kind of theologian, taught at University of Southern California in philosophy. They asked him one time, like, hey, how would you identify someone who's a saint? And his answer was, do the next right thing. And I think for students, what's the next right thing God's calling you to do? Like, there's no shame on here at all, but I think it is repenting for maybe if you've really placed your identity and faith in manifestation versus God, right? I think that'd be the first step. And then the second is like you're saying, it's like, okay, God, what do you have for me? God, what do you want to do through me this summer? Man, is it start a Bible study at my school? Is it love on my coworkers at the job that I'm at? Is it, getting, ahead in credits and I'm taking summer, whatever it is for you, like help me just to do the next right thing.
That's good. That's good. I know you had some notes. Because I know we tried to think of the one from Proverbs, but just to help them get them more equipped.
Yeah.
What were some verses that you had down?
Yeah, definitely. So I think one of the things you shared with me too, Noah, was like when it comes to manifestation, that oftentimes people will just kind of they'll throw out their request into the universe. I'm like, well, it's not the universe. I mean, someone made the universe, and that's God. But if we just, throw out any type of like request, then I think we're really engaging in a spiritual battle. Like if we have an all loving, good and perfect God, then we also have the other side of that too. We have the enemy who in John 10:10 says the thief comes to steal, kill and destroy. The enemy would want nothing more than for our lives to end in turmoil. And living a life of selfishness versus like the fruits of the Spirit. Another one that came to mind was Ephesians 6:12, right? For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, authorities, against the powers of this dark world, against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm. So I just think like it's good to be aware of that stuff, but then it's also good to see, whatever the goals that you're setting for yourself, remember the ways in which God's been faithful that's led you up to this point, whether you're in 6th grade, you're in 12th grade. Like remember the ways that God's shown up in your life and allow those to help, I think, just spur your faith on to say like, okay, instead of manifesting, calling things out into the universe, hey, you know what? I'm going to trust God because he's brought me this far. And if he's a good father, then he knows the details of my life better than I know myself.
Yeah.
So I think he's worthy of trust, but it's a daily practice and it's so hard to do on the down. I mean, I struggle with it. Shoot. And I'm a pastor on staff. I think just for anyone, we're human. We want to be in control, but we got to realize that God's in control. He's in control of the outcomes. Our job's to be faithful and to follow him.
That's a bar right there.
Yeah.
Yes. We're putting that on the screen somehow. Well, I just wanted to close up this episode just with a question and a challenge for you students. Reflection question for you is, are you trusting more in your words, yourself, this idea of like the universe, more than God? And then if you are, right, your challenge either way actually is that going back to that question or that prayer of like, what do you want to show me, God?
Yeah.
Like asking God, giving your prayer, just surrendering to God. Like, what do you want from me? What do you want to show me? What's next for me? What's the next right thing?
Yeah.
Like, show me those things. And I think, again, in turn, naturally, you're going to be looking for those things. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how much he is showing you. And you'll be surprised at yourself, too, at how simple it is, really, to trust God. And it doesn't have to be that complicated.
Yeah.
It's just one thing at a time. What's the next right thing?
Yeah.
I think you'll be surprised. So those are my challenges for you students. Thank you again, Matt, for coming on here and helping us debunk this a little bit. It's a fun topic. Take a break off social media. We're saying that even though you're watching us on social media. But after you watch this episode,
then take a break. Go to the pool. Yes. Go do something.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thanks again, students. We'll see you guys in the next episode.